I'm the senior judge in the Islamic Sunni Family Court inside the region in southern Lebanon. Besides, I'm also a law professor. I teach Islamic laws. Besides, I'm an activist with Berghof, with other organizations concerning peace building, concerning conflict resolution. I realized how conflicts, violence, war, how they are severely affecting people. And as a person who believes in God, I should be a peacemaker, since as a Muslim, we believe that one of God's names is As-Salam, a peace. I think, 2011, 2012, inside my hometown, there was a conflict between a group of Muslims who used to attend a certain mosque, Bilal bin Rabah Mosque. It was a 24-hour battle, ended with a number of casualties. People were killed, people were injured. The whole neighborhood was destroyed. The mosque was destroyed. And it happened that I was the one who was chosen by the Islamic administration to lead this mosque after that crisis and to start from zero, inviting people to come back, and they were afraid to attend the mosque. Thinking that because of this mosque they lost their beloved ones and their property. And to convince people that this is not what is religion about, this is not what Islam is about, and trying to start gathering people and give a different spirit for the work that that mosque should be doing in that neighborhood. That was the real work I did in my life. Being a father among 3 teenagers, you should be a peacemaker every single day, every single hour. Being a judge in a court, in a family court, where family issues are raised, where conflicts within families will make you a peacemaker among families. Being an imam in a mosque, and people will have conflicts in their lives, they will ask for advice. You need to be a peacemaker. Then it is not some hobby that I do after work. No, it is a lifestyle. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. عدد من اللبنانيين فازوا. You need to put yourself in the shoe of others, to think in their way of thinking, to see things from their own perspective. Then maybe the advice that you can give will be a real practical advice, not just some theoretical things that will never work. I was introduced to Berghof, and there was a project to let the religious sector be involved in conflict resolution. Many religious leaders, some who are my colleagues, my friends, some who are from an older age, a younger age, and we discovered a new perspective about religion, and can religion be part of the solution? While we have been hearing since maybe 3-4 decades that religion is the problem or part of the problem. And Berghof made us think about, can religion be the solution, or at least part of the solution? We need the will, we need the plan, we need the support, and we can do something. And even those who we might think that they are not welcoming, we will discover that they are more welcoming than maybe others. those whom we thought about that they will never agree with us or even accept to listen to us, we will discover that they will open their ears, their hearts, and they will be listening and even thinking about doing what we do. I cannot remember the year, maybe 2016, 17, when me and Firas Khayrallah visited Germany. And I was a guest speaker in one of Berghof's workshops. And since it was about conflict resolution and about violence and Islamic extreme movements taking violence as a choice to express their agenda and to fulfill this agenda. And me, a Muslim coming from Lebanon, having one of my cousins as a suicide bomber with ISIS, I gave not a speech, but it was a testimony. Talking about this very near relative who was brainwashed through the internet. He's young. He was in his early 20s. Leaving his wife, his young children in the age of 1 and 2, and receiving the news of his death as a suicide bomber. We always used to think that the story ends with the death of the person. But I realized that the story started with the suffering of this widow, with the suffering of these young children who lost their supporter, and how we thought that pressing the button during the explosion and this is the end. No, it is the beginning of a lot of sufferings for the family of the person who did that, for the other families who might lost also some of the beloved ones because of this explosion. Dialogue, I think it is a need. I started saying that it is my personal way of life, but I think it should be everyone's way of life. Sometimes people know, but they don't know that they know. Maybe Berghof did that positive thing. They helped me and my colleagues and those who were involved in the trainings to know that we know, to know that we can, to have maybe the needed tools to change ideas and words to action. Maybe this is the best thing Berghof did.